What's cracking, J-Coders? I'm J-Coding, and today we're going to be discussing scanf in C. Scanf takes input from the user. Let's say we want the user to print out their favorite number, right? So we have printf, what's your favorite number? Question mark, end statement. And what we want to do after this print statement is we want to leave a little space right here to give room for the user to type. And we want to type in scanf, which is telling the computer to scan. And we're going to put, again, the double quotes, and we want to tell the computer, okay, what are we looking for? Well, we're going to look for an integer. We want to put %d, just like we always have been. And we do comma. Now here's something a little different, right? Usually over here we just put the variable that we want to print out or that we want to show to the screen, right? What's actually different about scanf as opposed to printf is that this variable over here actually needs to have the ampersand. Now what the ampersand allows you to do, it allows you to access what's inside the address. So I know last video we talked about pointers. Now in this video we have ampersand, which allows you to access what's inside that address. So essentially it'll take whatever the user inputs and it'll store it into C. And then if we do printf and then print %d comma C, it should print out the favorite number right after. So let's run this program and see what happens. What's your favorite number? Let's say 23. 23 automatically prints out. That's about as simple as it gets. So now if the user has, let's say, two favorite numbers, what are your favorite numbers? So now we're going to do %d not once, but twice. We want to try to keep a space in between the two %d just for good coding practice. I believe you can do it either way. We'll try it both ways just for the sake of, trying things out for the sake of learning. So if you print this out and then we want to print out C and D over here, %d. What are your favorite numbers? 55 and 23. It prints out 55 and 23. Now let's take out the spaces and see what it does. I believe it shouldn't have any impact, so we say 33, 34. It prints out 33 and 34 together. Now, by no impact, I meant no impact in terms of storing it. What the printf does, it takes everything you type in literally. Like I said last video, computers aren't smart. In fact, they're very, very dumb, which is why they need programmers like me and you to teach it what to do. When you tell the computer to print out a number or an integer with no space and then an integer right after, it takes 33 and 34 and puts them right next to each other. However, the scanf function is a little smarter, so it knows that when you have two numbers, we are going to be looking for two distinct inputs, and the way we denoted two distinct inputs here are 33 space 34. Now the last thing we want to do with scanf is use it to perform operations, right? So like we did earlier, we want to make another variable that performs the operation for us. Let's say E is equal to C plus D. We have, what are your favorite numbers? Scanf, and then it scans for two integers. In the next line, we want to perform an operation with those numbers, where let's say we have printf. This is the sum of your two favorite numbers. And we'll add a new line break right here, just for organization. So if we print it out, it asks for our numbers, let's say 5 and 12. This is the sum of your two favorite numbers, and nothing prints out, which is very, very interesting. So now we go into our debugging phase. So if we look at line 12, we automatically realize, hey, we told the computer that we want to print out the sum. However, we didn't tell the computer what holds the sum. So we know that the sum of C and D will be E. So if we add E as an argument, and we want to make sure that it's scanning for a decimal, so now let's try this out. Now we notice that we get a very, very wacky answer. right here. That almost makes no sense because obviously 5 plus 12 is not whatever that number is. So now let's take another moment to debug and see what's happening. So the first thing that I notice is that when we do things in C, the computer reads things in order. So it says A is equal to 5, cool. B is equal to 6, cool. I have two spaces called A and B that has 5 and 6. Now I have an empty space C, empty space D, and I have an empty space called E. Now the interesting thing about this empty space is that it's storing null values. C and D at this point in time don't have anything, meaning I'm already giving E a value, which is some random value that is already stored in the computer, and it gives it to E. Meaning no matter what C and D are right here, it's not going to change E up here. So a quick way to fix that is by taking this line and putting it after here. Now let's rerun this and see what happens. What are your two favorite numbers? 5, 12. This is the sum of your two favorite numbers, 17. Now, for those who still don't understand what happened is, we had to make sure that the user actually gives the proper values of C and D, whereas before this, C and D, it's not that that's not that they held nothing, but what it really holds is just junk. It holds a bunch of randomness, right? So until you actually assign it a value, it's just random. When I declared E up here, it had the addition of two random values. However, when I put it over here, we actually gave values to C and D. Now we make an integer E that stored C and D. So that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you liked the video, please feel free to subscribe for some more. If you know anybody who's looking to learn C, link them to my channel, link them to my videos. That's it for today's episode. Peace.